Hi there, scrap friends, Louise with you today. Thanks so much for checking out this video. It's a 12 by 12 scrapbook layout with Paper Rose Studio products, and I'm using the fantastic Ink and Ivory collection. This grabbed me straight away. As soon as I saw it online, I knew that I was going to have it. I adore these patterns. I love the neutrals. They are so vibrant. You are going to love this and will not be disappointed. So I decided to pick a 12 by 12 background paper, and then the little strip that I had cut off of that kind of inspired me to use some strips of paper. So I'm actually going to go through and cut off the branding strips on these patterned papers, which is really helpful for future use of papers, but at the same time it gives me these kind of fun diamond type backgrounds, as you can see. Now, I have chosen one of the photos from our family photo session that we had done in 2025. My boys were getting older. I like to update our family photos every now and again, and we got the most beautiful photos. I love to change their colors, so I've actually altered this one so that it's a black and white photo because I just felt that it would absolutely blend beautifully with this collection. It's got those lovely warm tones with the neutrals, and oh my, look at these die cuts, the butterflies, the florals, the frames. I can't believe it. Paper Rose Studio has absolutely outdone themselves with this collection. So if you haven't popped over and bought it already, definitely get yourself over there. But if you have, I hope that this layout inspires you to get creating with it. And remember that it's not just about stashing the pretty products, we have to create with them. So the dopamine effect that you get when you make something beautiful with these amazing products is so worthwhile. And as much as looking at them in their packaging is also nice, you can't beat the feeling of actually getting creative with them. So I'm building some clusters, and this is just the very early days, and I got a little bit busy. I had some other things on over the weekend, and I had to come back to this layout. And when I came back to it, I realized that I needed another patterned paper in those corners. I needed to bring this diamond to life. I also then doubled up on those branding strips, and then I stitched down the middle of them. So off camera, this layout kind of developed and evolved a little bit. And because it was mostly stuff that I didn't need to have in this video, I didn't film any of that. But essentially the thought process behind it was that I'd built something quite solid with the diamond, and I just wanted to take it to the next level and enhance it. Now you can see that I kind of had the idea of having this kind of triangle version of my clustering with that top right, bottom right, and then photo, but I didn't like having the clustering up above and below each other. It looked just a little bit too symmetrical. It wasn't quite as pleasing to the eye, and so that does change as the layout develops. But throughout this whole thing, I did sort of expect that I would actually have that cluster at the bottom right and the top right. So yeah, that's just how a layout sometimes evolves. But I definitely needed something around my photo. And so I decided to initially get my distress inks out and just add a little bit of shadowing, and same again in different spots. That shadowing is just there to have something to sit those embellishments in the photo on. So it just kind of lifts it off that background paper. But again, it still wasn't quite working for me, and I couldn't get this one to come together as well as I would have liked. So I did leave it on my desk, and sometimes this is what happens when I'm crafting, is I might just leave something and then come back to it after I've had a bit of time to think about it. Sometimes I'll just go away and do something else. Sometimes I will create a different style of layout, and that will inspire me. But yeah, this one did sit for a couple of days, and I came back to it and had another think about just how I was going to enhance particularly the photo. I love the cluster. I think this diamond background works beautifully. I love how that's come together. But it needed a little something, and I did almost reach for a stencil and some gold paste, but the gold glitter paste that I wanted to use was so vibrant, it was going to be far too much for this collection. So I thought about it a little more, and I pulled out this water-soluble pencil. So basically what happens, and you'll see this occur here, is that you can kind of, and what I want to do is almost scribble a frame around this. So you scribble with the pencil, and because it's water soluble, you can smudge it a little bit just dry, but not as well as how it smudges when it's actually watered down. So I just pop a little bit of water sprayed on my finger and then move that color, and that's looking much better. How vibrant does that look? And it's kind of grungy and a little bit mixed metery, which again just kind of sits behind that photo and really helps to enhance it that little bit more. All right, it also needed just a little bit of text stamping. I'm working pretty hard to try and get this photo to stand out, and after I'd gotten my stamp on, I realized splatters were going to work with this beautifully. Again, that little bit of grunginess. And so firstly, I'm going to do some big blobs of black splatter. These are a little bit trickier, and I tend to kind of draw them on as such, and then I'm going to just flick my little sprayer out of my spray bottle and add some splatter in both black and gold. Now that's going to be set aside to dry. I did hit the bigger blobs with the heat gun just because I wanted them to dry a little bit quicker, and that sort of helps everything dry up. But yes, the black and gold came together beautifully with this. I love the frame. As you can see, this is where I'm starting to put it all together, and that the shadow around the photo does work quite beautifully, and I still needed that little bit of something in the bottom right hand, but it didn't need to be a really big cluster. So I'm going to go just with a little butterfly just to give it something to finish off that visual triangle, and keep mainly the cluster around that photo. But essentially I think this turned out amazing. I hope you enjoy, and thank you for watching.